guys, it's Happily Married Nerds. I'm your host Ash, and this is my cohort Robert, and we have a wonderful guest on the show for you today. This is Charlie. He runs Lockbox Escape Rooms in Davie, and let me tell you, I am an escape room enthusiast, so being able to sit here and take up some of Charlie's time for the day is a great big excitement for me. I love his rooms. Come and check them out. Before we even get started, I have to mention that. So you run everything here, basically. This was your idea, your baby, all of the rooms you designed. Tell us how you got involved in this in the first place.
Okay. Well, it kind of dating back to the original, how the seed was planted, so to speak, was back when, I don't know if you remember the movie Saw 2.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my brother watched that movie. There was a second one where they're trapped in a house, and this was like 10, 15 years ago, however long ago it was. And we said, hey, after we watched that movie, we ended up grabbing a couple drinks and saying, hey, we could do this. Let's do this for Halloween one year. And anyway, it was a long night of awesome conversation that never really kind of materialized into anything. So anyway, flash forward like 10 years later, we saw an ad for a zombie escape room, and we were both like, wait. That's our idea, We're like, somebody stole our idea, And so, bottom line is, we ended up going to an escape room for my birthday about 2 years ago, and after it wasn't a zombie escape room or anything like that. It was just a regular. It was like a Sherlock Holmes theme, and we ended up saying, oh, this is awesome! Like, why didn't we do this? So we decided, well, let's do it. So took the plunge, gave it a shot, and here we are, 2 years later. Successful venture.
Very awesome. Now, where did you come up with the ideas? Because you have two rooms. He's got Timeline, and then he's got CIA Task Force. Where did you come up with the idea for these two particular scenarios?
So, for CIA Task Force, which was our first design, that was the one that we released first. We were kind of trying to come up with what was going to be something that wasn't scary, because we didn't want to eliminate a specific population base. Something that was going to be kind of cool and catchy, and kind of good for all ages. So we went with kind of like a mix between Jason Bourne and like an investigative theme, because the CIA themes, the crime scene theme seemed to be kind of popular amongst escape rooms, but I wanted to do a little bit more of a twist. We wanted more of a storyline behind it. And then for Timeline, we wanted to do a time travel experience, because nobody else had that around. And plus, without giving too much away, we wanted to kind of build part of our personalities into the room.
Okay,
so
cool. Without
giving too much away, but it's basically our Timeline was our second room, but that's kind of the one that's closest to our heart, I guess you can call.
Well, and now you've got the third room too. You've got a mobile room. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, so we decided. So the main impetus for us, the reason why we decided to go mobile is A, we didn't really see anybody else doing it around town, and B, our biggest limitation here at Lockbox is our lack of space. Right? We have 2 rooms, and we have a lot of interest in wanting to do more rooms. But at this location, at the moment, we don't have any more space, so we decided, why not take it mobile? So now we can actually come to you. We can set up at your house, and inside of a hotel room for like a conference. We can go to your business and turn your office into an escape room. So that theme is called Stolen. Basically, something's been stolen. It's actually designed so that we can customize it around your event. So, for instance, let's just say you're having a birthday party, and the birthday boy or girl is, their favorite video game can be stolen. They have an hour to retrieve it. Or we recently did one for a residence in a rental community, and so we said all the rental deposit. It was for the residents of the community. So we basically said that thieves came in and stole all your rental deposits. And so if you have an hour to get it back, or he's going to burn it up, and you'll never receive your rental deposit back. So things like that. It was a lot of fun. The residents loved it, but we were able to go to the community, set up in their clubhouse, and be able to function that way. So it's an excellent team building event. It's an excellent birthday party event, or just something fun to do at some at a house party. We're actually
that sounds cool.
And we're in the process of designing another one that's mobile. it's not launched yet, or it's not even in development yet, but the design is there for a so the current theme is stolen, and we have it's not necessarily a typical escape room where there's four walls and you're trapped inside of a room and you have to escape. It's more of a puzzle experience with a themed storyline, and so it's applicable to large groups. So we can support anywhere up to 80 people at one time.
Oh wow!
And we're actually adding
That's
additional stations because we're doing a large event for a pretty large company for about 125 people, and they wanted something altogether. So we're going to be adding additional stations there. But another one that we're coming up with is going to be basically a typical escape room, four walls, and more of like a 10 to 15 minute experience.
Oh, cool.
Where we can set up at like a food truck stand or basically, it's less of a massive event and more of like a, kind of like at a festival or something like that.
That's really cool. That sounds like so much fun.
So at the crux of all of this, of course, is the puzzles themselves. Obviously, thousands and hundreds and millions, depending on the setup of the puzzles. What is the process for coming up with? Do you just think of them naturally? Do you have to do a lot of research? Because, that's really the crux of all the rooms and escaping is, where did those ideas come from, or do you have to do a lot of research on that?
So it's a mix of both. So yes, you got to do a lot of research, and I cannot take all the credit. In fact, my brother is probably the more creative of the two of us. I'm more the business mind. He's more the creative one.
Okay.
But our process that we go through is generally I'll come up with a storyline. We'll come up with a theme, a basis around. Okay, well, what do we want to? What does this story entail? Because that's where all the puzzles are going to come around,
right,
or pop up into. So if you've done our rooms, all of our puzzles fit into the type of theme, right? You're not going to have a random, telephone inside of a jail cell or something like that. You have to fit the scenario that you're in. So what we'll do is generally come up with a storyline. Once we come up with a storyline, we'll go ahead and we'll start fitting in. Okay, well, where do we want this to begin? And just in our couple of designs, we've already designed 2 or 3 other rooms. We just haven't. We're ready to. When we're ready to swap them out, we'll do it. But we're basically, we have 2 or 3 other designs ready to go. But first we go storyline. Then after the storyline, then we'll start to say, okay, how do we want this to begin? Do we want it to be a tough puzzle at the beginning, or do we want it to get it going quickly? What we're finding is the majority of people do not like getting stuck at the beginning of games. They want to get going. They don't mind getting stuck in the middle, but at the beginning, the overall enjoyment for the process, that if 10 minutes goes by and they haven't unlocked anything, they feel frustrated. Mm-hmm. So we're beginning to design our games a little bit with kind of a flow in mind. Okay, how do we want this to go? Do we want this to go easy, hard, easy? Do we want this to go hard, 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 easy at the end and rush them to, depending on how we want the flow to go. So we'll come up with a puzzle that generally fits the flow of the design that we're looking for. Mm-hmm. And as far as specific puzzles are concerned, we've done a lot of escape rooms. I don't know the number, I don't keep track, but before I opened, I went around to every single escape room in the area, did every room. Since then, a lot have opened up, so I haven't been able. I've been too busy here, so unfortunately, to have fun,
Yeah, right.
So, but we've done some beta testing for new rooms because I know some of the other owners, and what we do is, we don't copy ideas, right? I'm never going to take an idea from another escape room and use it in ours. However, you get to see common trends across escape rooms, common different types of things, and what's interesting to find is a single puzzle can be applied in so many different ways. A single idea, without giving anything away, it's hard to decide. But so for instance, in our mini game out here, you have a puzzle with where you have to look through some playing cards, mm-hmm. and then you have to find a directional lock for a directional lock. There's so many different ways that you can come up with. How can we get people to come up with a directional lock? Can we give them up, down, left? Can we do directional? Can we do north, south, east, west? There's just so many different ways in which you can apply that specific type of puzzle. Even though the base is still the same, you can use it depending on the theme. If it's a shipwreck theme and you're on at sea, okay, well then we'll use a directional theme. If you're traveling the world, well, maybe we'll use an itinerary, things like that.
Okay, cool.
It's different ways that you can apply those type of things.
So one of the biggest things, obviously, is the puzzle rooms themselves don't change from week to week or month to month. They're one room.
Correct.
How often do you get people that come back to relive the same room that they've experienced just because it was so cool? Is that a common theme, or is like, I've done the room, I know what's going to happen, so I'm not going to do it again? How does that usually go?
So in my experience, and again, we're relatively young, we're a year old. I would say I don't think I've seen anybody voluntarily come back to do the same room twice. What I've seen is people have come back to do the same room, but as part of a larger group.
Okay.
We're coming here on a party. Oh, I already did that, but I'm not. We'll do it again. And then oftentimes they don't remember everything. So the things that they remember, most of the time, they don't ruin it for the group. They'll go ahead and step back and let the group do something. And then the things that they don't remember, you'll see them, you're watching them, and they'll step in. Or they'll do one on their own for fun, and then they'll have to come here for a corporate event. And okay, they're stuck doing the same room twice. But generally, I'm not here all the time, but I don't think we've had very many, if any at all, like voluntarily say, okay, well, I've done that room, I want to come back and redo it. A lot of people have come done one of our rooms and said, oh, that was awesome, they want to come back and do the other.
We did that.
But they haven't actually redone, both rooms. Something that we've toyed with when we first, again, because of the limitation of space, we figured, how can we adapt this to, to have returning customers?
Right.
And that is redesigning our room. So, for instance, CIA Task Force, you're trying to capture the gamer, right? I'm not giving anything away. That's on the video. So you're trying to capture the gamer. So we were thinking about that's volume 1. Maybe we can do volume 2. Same type of scenario, but different puzzles in the room. Fortunately, we haven't had to do that just yet. It's been busy enough that we haven't had to do that yet. But we toyed with that idea. We also toyed with the idea of taking our room and converting. So, for instance, the CIA room, we thought about possibly turning into a kids experience, a different theme, and making it into a principal's office.
Oh, neat.
No,
So that way, on specific days, we can adapt similar puzzles, but you can come back with your kids and do it's a different storyline and it's different puzzles, but the set design hasn't changed.
Okay, cool.
So that was something we toyed with, but we haven't implemented because it hasn't been necessary. And instead of doing that, we thought about it's probably better spent to either look for a larger space or expand to a second location with more rooms in mind.
Cool, very cool. Now, I'm not good at puzzles. I come with a crew of, there's 4 of us. Some of them are really good at puzzles. I am not. I'm the gopher that runs around with all the clues and the keys and hands stuff out to people. So for somebody who either isn't real good at puzzles like me, or maybe somebody who normally wouldn't think that this would be something they'd be interested in, how would you suggest having one of them give it a shot?
Like me, I'm a complete noob, so
He's a total noob. He's total noob.
So So your question is, just to clarify, you're not here yet. You're out with your friends, and you're like, okay, well, what do you want to do tonight? Do you want to go to an escape? I don't know. What is that? You're gonna lock me in a room?
Exactly.
No, I don't want to get. Okay, excellent. So the way I would describe it to someone, so oftentimes people are scared of, well, I'm claustrophobic. I don't want to be locked in a room. That's not fun to me. And the truth of the matter is that you're never actually locked in any of the rooms in any of the escape. There's always an exit. There's always a way to get out. And most escape rooms are not a small confined space. I think that's a major misconception.
Yeah.
They're regular sized rooms. If and this goes for our experiences or pretty much anyone around town that I can tell you about. If you're claustrophobic, you don't have anything to worry about. If you're fine going into an office, then you'll be fine going into an escape room. It just might be dressed up differently.
Yes.
But so how to describe it to somebody that's new and say, how are we going to do this? Well, I would say, do you enjoy movies? Do you like, so the way I liken our rooms is, have you ever seen the movie National Treasure with Nicolas Cage, right? Or Da Vinci Code with Tom Hanks? And most of the people have seen those two big movies. And they're like, yeah, that's a cool movie. Well, okay, now he travels to Antarctica and finds a little thing, and then that brings them to some cave over in Boston or wherever it is. It's the same type of concept. It's just you're not traveling the world. You're inside of a room, a little lower budget. So that's generally how I would describe it to somebody. It's a themed experience. You're getting put into an immersive environment where you have to utilize your problem-solving skills, communication, and just talking out with friends on how to figure your way out through this experience. How are you going to get out of this themed environment that you've been put in? And that can be really cool themes, you know. Maybe you've always been like, oh, I saw The Rock with Sean Connery, and I saw how he got out of a jail cell. I would love to do, you know, if I was put in a jail cell, let me see if I could escape. Well, now you can actually be put in those scenarios. We've created, not just us, but the community, the escape room community has created this really cool environment where you're put into movie-like scenes, and you're part of the show.
It's cool. It is a lot of fun. I love doing them. I think I'm nowhere near as experienced as you. I think I've only done like 9 so far, but they're fun. I love them, and I have to admit, a couple of these, the ones that he's got going, these are a couple of my favorites. Let me see. What else have we got?
No, the only question, the big question I had, the last kind of question was, so you have a lot of people coming in, a lot of traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel your rooms are on par? Because you talked about the community. Do you guys like have a sense of who's kind of the better rooms, or is it just because they're just so different that everybody's kind of the same? Is there a ranking of rooms? Do you have like a site where people can go and say how good they felt the rooms were or not? Because a big part of it is customer feedback.
Yeah, customer feedback. So, I mean, there's no ranking of escape rooms. There's no specific site that ranks like, oh, this room is the best. This room is the second best. This is third. It's
or the more difficult.
Yeah, it's there's review sites. There's bloggers that are out there that have done a lot of escape rooms, and generally, if you start following different types of bloggers, they've done a lot of escape rooms. So generally, the more you've done, the more experience you have. But the flip side to that is, even though you've done a lot, something that might strike you as being really awesome might strike you as being, that was okay. I've gotten out of rooms where I literally thought it was like, that was an awesome room. The puzzles were really good. The set design was good. The flow was awesome. And my brother has gotten out and he's like, really? I didn't really find that at all. And we have similar ideas, but even us going into a room together and coming out and discussing it, it just every room hits somebody different. Now, I'm not going to go and say that there aren't bad rooms and there aren't great rooms. Like, there definitely is a disparity between what room, you can generally tell if a room is going to be without, I try to be as diplomatic as I can be.
Yeah, of course.
So there are rooms that are, you can tell very little thought went into it, and they just threw something together and they're just slapping it and jumping on the craze, and trying to make a buck. And that's okay. That's business. It is what it is. But and then there are rooms where you can tell that people went all out. They have heart. They're small business owners, and that's just generally, this is passionate for them. And then you have the large companies, which I'm not saying that the owners aren't passionate, but they have a larger budget and they're just, they're going, their puzzles might be amazing or they might not be, but their set design is just out of this world. So really it depends on what you're looking for. So if you're looking for that movie environment, well, the big companies have that. You can go to, Disney's coming out with an escape room.
Really?
Yeah. So I read that they're coming out with an escape room. Those type of set designs, if that is what you're looking for, you might love that. Someone might go there and say, oh, well, the set design was amazing. They spent $1 million on making this place look like a rainforest or Pandora or whatever, but the puzzles really didn't, they were super simple. If you're a puzzle person, you might want something that the set design might not be important to you. So really, everybody has their own kind of idea. So, but around town, we have a couple of really good ones, and I would definitely recommend you to try a bunch of them out.
Cool. Very awesome. Do you go normally you say you go with your brother, or do you go with a group when you go?
I don't always go. My brother doesn't live in town, so
okay.
I would go with my brother all the time, but he lives in Maryland. But so generally what I'll do is the Lockbox team, we generally do team building events, and so by team building events, I mean we go hang out and do escape rooms.
Cool.
So I know,
That's
but
cool.
What did you do in time off? Same thing I do when I work.
yeah, pretty much.
That explains the passion right there, you know.
Yep. So oftentimes what we'll do is I know most of the owners in town, and if they come out with a new room, or if I generally find out, because a lot of people have come in and they're thinking about opening an escape room, and then they ask, hey, can I pick your brain for a little bit? And then, we end up becoming friends, and I try to help them out. And so we'll go and test a bunch of rooms. We'll pick them apart. We'll say, hey, I think this works. I think this works. I think this doesn't work. And again, these are our opinions. So just because I think something is going to work doesn't mean that I'm right. It just means that that's my opinion.
Yeah.
So it could be that someone else goes through there and be like, oh, what are you talking about? That thing was awesome. And okay, ultimately you have to, the trick in this business is you want to design a room that is applicable to the majority. You're never going to get a room that's applicable to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to get, you want to try to design something in mind where a noob, like you called it or said it, can come in and do the room with some help, where an experienced escape room enthusiast can come in and still enjoy themselves in that same room. Sure, they might get out 10 or 15 minutes before the other person will, but they still had a good time. And that is I think that's the hardest part in designing rooms.
That's exactly the experience that I just had. So my mom's birthday was last month, and we came here and we did the CIA Task Force one. We did Timeline for my birthday. And we ended up getting paired up with another couple who'd never done an escape room before, but they were so into it, and it was actually almost as much fun letting us hang back and watch them try and solve it, because we kind of knew some of the stuff to do, but it was really cool seeing somebody else work through it too. And you make some good friends that way too. It's awesome. And like you said, that a lot of the owners in the area, and it really is a community of almost cooperative. You don't want to copy somebody else, but at the same time, you guys want to make sure that you can cross all of the platforms, as it were, too.
Yeah, well, I think the common theme amongst most of the owners, at least down here in the South Florida region, is, we have a unique business model, right? The better your product is, people come and do it, but they can't repeat it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
that's what
you love your rooms, but if you're limited on space like we are, you either have to open up a new location or get more space and open up more rooms. Or just, redesign the rooms, which I love designing the rooms. I don't love building them.
That's not take a lot. That's like set design extreme.
So I'm not the most. Again, I'm on the business end of things, and the creativity is there. The design is awesome, and conceptualizing these things are, I'll do it all day. But spending the hours upon hours or the nights upon nights of building these things out. Especially when you're not the most handy of people.
Well, and you have some very interesting details in your room, some really unique stuff. So it is very cool to see that get put into play. Some of it even I couldn't figure out. I'm like, how the heck do you do this? And somebody grabs it, and they're like, oh, you do it this way. I'm sitting here going, how the heck did I not know that?
Do you have like engineers? I mean, you have to have some of the stuff.
I'm not. I don't know. Without going into too much detail about what's in the rooms, there are some cool things that happens in the rooms. It's not just like you're going in there and playing regular games. You might do something, and then something cool might happen on the other end of the room, or something like that. So, I don't know. I personally don't know how to make that happen. So what I've done is there are people out there that know how to do that, and so we've contacted them, and they've helped us to do that.
So you do a lot of contract work kind of with the experts and let them come in?
Yeah, they come in, we have vendors that come in and they'll install the things, the tech, if you want to call it, the tech props.
Sure.
But when they leave, I've come a long way from being not handy to being able to starting to understand, because oftentimes, especially people that have never done escape rooms before, and I can't stress this enough, if you're watching this and you're thinking about doing escape rooms, or even if you've done a bunch of escape rooms, no force is necessary, okay?
Yeah, be gentle.
You don't need any force to do anything in, I would say, the majority of escape rooms. And if you do need force, they'll tell you. But your basic thing can be, we have a rule here. It's called the finger rule. If you can't literally move it with your finger, then it probably is not meant to be moved. I would say that the majority of escape rooms that I've done, at least in the South Florida area, can go with that same concept. They might not say it, but everything's meant to be solved through a puzzle. So that being said, I'd say 50% of people ignore that rule.
Yeah, it's
not good.
sad.
So we've had to fix a lot of stuff. So you get to learn some intricate stuff that you never thought you'd be able to do.
Yeah.
So
Get your engineering degree on, even if you didn't know you wanted to.
basically, yeah, you're rewiring Arduino boards and whatnot. So, but it's
an interesting point you mentioned the finger rule, because in some other countries, actually, not in America, they are starting to go with a more physical setup where you have to run, you have to lift 40 pounds, you have to be physically fit. And they put warnings up that you got to be physically fit to do that. Is that something you see as a new direction, or do you feel that's just not space-wise, going back to that issue, something that may not apply as easily here? Because I think they actually, that I've heard of, they own a warehouse. And the entire warehouse is the room.
Yeah, so I see. So right now, escape rooms in the United States are, I wouldn't say it's in an infancy anymore, but I'd say it's in its toddlerhood.
Okay.
Right? So infancy was about 4 years ago,
Okay.
3 or 4 years ago, and now you're seeing a lot of them pop up throughout the country, and then there's different, it went from just a simple lock and key to other really cool ways in which you can solve puzzles and do things. There are some escape rooms that have 0 locks. They're entirely tech-based. So, you're finding that migration is... So there's an evolution of escape rooms. Just like in any industry, you start off with one thing and you end up with a much different product, way down the road. I think the future of the industry is going to go toward, yes, this is an immersive environment, but to answer your questions, are you going to be required to do more physical activities? In the United States, I don't know if there's never going to be a majority of escape rooms that require you to do physical activity, and that's just simply because the way our culture is set up, I don't think you could get away with that. I mean, legally and other reasons. To be honest with you,
liability.
Yeah.
So you
So
lose a lot of your base too.
Yeah.
and you lose a lot of customer base. So from a business perspective, I don't think you want to eliminate that customer base. Someone who's maybe an older individual or just someone that isn't capable of lifting a 50-pound object. You might not. Okay, well, we don't want to do that tonight. Okay, I just lost a customer that would have enjoyed the rest of the room, but they couldn't do that one activity. So that's another thing here at the Lockbox. We designed our rooms so that we would basically be a handicap friendly as well. So we've had many people in wheelchairs come through, and our rooms are susceptible to that. Whereas I know some others, there's some physical aspects to it that you might not be able to accomplish.
Which is a good consideration, considering the larger the room, the more spaces. You might have multiple levels, you might have stores, your stairs and things like that. So that is a consideration as well for those customers.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those customers are the ones who spend a lot of time with puzzles and and doing that kind of thing. So it would be very much their area. So it's a very key consideration too for business perspective.
Thank you. So,
You're welcome. It's a true statement. It is,
but to get back on point with your question, where do I see that evolving into, these larger, more immersive experiences where physical attributes are going to come into play? Yes, to some degree. I guess that's the answer. I think as the evolution of the industry, forms, I think you're going to find. I mean, there's already one that's like an 8-hour one. It's an 8-hour escape room.
Wow.
You have to sign a waiver. It's like a horror themed one where you're literally trapped for 8 hours going through this experience, and there's live actors, and it seems really awesome. I want to fly out to LA and do it.
Right.
But
it's a different experience.
It's
than
different than hey, let's go out for a night.
Yeah.
So I think that I don't see it becoming that physical.
Right.
In nature, to be honest with you, I don't see. I see it evolving with technology, evolving with the set design and the immersiveness in that factor. Do I think that it's going to become a physical activity where you're running around and doing different things? I think those things will exist, but not on a mass scale. Like there's already one. I think here it's like an 1.5-hour experience. And the zombies are chasing. It's a whole Zombieland world or something like that, and that's actually not far away. It's like near Orlando.
Okay.
The whole Lockbox team wants to do it. So
Nice.
we'll probably do a team building event and go up there and do it. So, but yeah, it's. I think those things will pop up, and they'll be around. But it's the same. I don't think it's going to be the common. I don't think it'll be a.
So you mentioned time frames for the experience. How long? Most of yours, if I understand, is about an hour.
So yeah, our rooms are 1 hour. There's different models. There's mainly 2 models, and I'd say, I don't know, I'm pulling this percentage, literally out of thin air, but it's probably 80.
The best percentages.
Yeah, 80 to 90% of escape rooms in the U.S. today are 60 minutes. Right, it's a 1 hour experience. You get an hour in the room. There's a countdown timer, or count up timer, and you have to either accomplish a goal or escape, your mission or whatever it is. There's also another model where it's 45-minute rooms.
That sounds a little tight.
It depends on how the room's designed. I
Yeah.
mean, so you can design a room to do a 45-minute room, but those are popping up. It's it's a shorter experience, and you'll find that sometimes, like corporate groups, they don't necessarily want to spend an hour because it's not just an hour. It's more like an hour and a half. When you get here, you have to check in. You got to do the rules, and then afterward, you're taking your pictures or whatever else you're gonna do, and
that could easily become 2 hours. Very
depending
fast.
on the group,
Yeah.
So. And oftentimes what we do at the Lockbox is, and I don't know about anybody else, but I know we do it. If you're in a room and there's no one scheduled after you, we'll generally, and even if there is, depending upon how much time is in between, if you start on time and let's say you're struggling and you haven't gone through the room in a full hour, we'll probably give you some extra time. Not everyone does that, but our main philosophy here is customer experience. We want you to have fun. That's the whole goal. Our philosophy is, we would rather give away a free experience to someone who didn't enjoy themselves than have someone walk out of here, disgruntled. So we want you to enjoy yourselves when you come here. So we create kind of like from the moment you walk in to the moment you leave, our customer interaction is nonstop. So if you get stuck and you're like, oh, okay, well, we have 3 seconds, we have 2 minutes left and there's no way you're going to finish the room. If there's no one scheduled after you, we'll give you extra time. If you got here on time and you started the room on time, we've already built that into that extra time. We can probably give you an extra 5 or 10 minutes anyway. But if you don't arrive on time and we start you late, probably that won't happen. Or if it's a Saturday and we're booked back to back, you might have less opportunity to do that.
Now that brings up another good point because you talk about help or the extra 5 minutes. Now I know this setup is a little bit different per room, but assistance, clue help, how does that work for you guys? I know some places, you have walkie-talkies, you're talking to them live, you can see them, you know exactly where they are.
Okay.
What does that look like, and how does that kind of differ from setup to setup as far as you know?
Okay, so I've seen clue systems range from literally taking a piece of paper and sticking a clue underneath the door to having a walkie-talkie, and then when you get stuck, you radio in and say, hey, we need some help. Can you help us out? And then the game master either knows where you're at or is not, doesn't know where you're at and say, okay, which puzzle are you stuck on? They give you that. I've also seen, some other, actually the most unique clue system I ever had is in my favorite room. Besides ours, of course. I'm a little biased there, but
of course.
But no, even this other one, I would say it's probably, if you ever get a chance to do it, it's called The Basement. It's in there's one in LA and there's one in Las Vegas, and it's
they're not really competition. They go across the country to get to them. You're okay.
So that's the room that I thought was like it was really the way that they used. There was a live actor in the room, and the way they utilized that live actor, without giving it away, it's just really well done. So I've seen some really elaborate clue systems. So with ours, the way we work it is we have video and audio installed, and we can see and hear everything you guys are doing while you're in the room. So if you get stuck, as long as we can hear everything you guys are doing, which I think is the most important to me personally. I mean, some of my game masters might say visual. For me, if I had to choose between visual and audio, I would much prefer audio because if you're talking, I can hear what's going on in your head as opposed to me visually just seeing you walk around the rooms. But we have both. And so when you're stuck, most likely our game masters already have your clue typed out or ready to go. So because they know where you're at, they know where what you've been thinking and talking out. So when you're like, okay, we finally need a hint, we can deliver it one of two ways: either written on a TV screen or verbal through an intercom system.
So that's really cool.
It depends on what you need. We try to do written as much as possible, just to for lack of confusion and a lack of miscommunication. But in the event that we have some preset clues that are already typed out, and we have again, we're kind of predicting what you're going to need. But let's say we give you that hint, and for whatever reason it didn't get you to the answer. Depending on what else you need, we might keep typing. But our biggest thing is we don't want you to wait. When you ask for a hint, time is of the essence.
Sure.
Right? The time's ticking down. We don't want to wait a minute for us to type something out, or 30 seconds. So we might just talk to you and say, okay, this is what it is. So it really depends. We're really big on, we train our game masters, or we call them experienced directors, to be really efficient with giving hints. So either the hint itself is just an efficient, good hint, or if you don't get, if the group doesn't get that first hint, when you ask for a hint, you shouldn't be waiting 30 seconds for a response.
And do you take off time from the end of the experience for giving the hint? I don't know if that's a common practice or not.
Okay, so for the way we work is you get an hour, no matter what. You can ask for 1,000 hints, but you're still going to get your full hour. The way we do it, though, is we'll deduct, you get 3 free hints here. After your third hint, we'll just start deducting 3 minutes from your score. So we have a leaderboard, and that leaderboard is just, the top 5 people, the top 5 scores from each room.
Gotcha.
And so it's just kind of like a bragging rights type of thing.
Of course, yeah.
So no, if you're stuck in there and you need some help, you can ask we're not actually deducting from your actual time.
Okay.
Your people.
That's why I was, because I knew that they do that, but that's a leaderboard thing rather than actual.
Well, I mean, I don't know I can't speak for other rooms.
Of course.
I have actually been in rooms where they deduct actual physical time.
Really?
Or they charge for hints.
Oh, wow.
So really, it's up, however your business, however the business model is. I don't know, but I can just speak for Lockbox, and we don't, the whole goal here is to have fun.
Right.
So
Not to frustrate people.
Not to frustrate people. Like I said, I'd rather. My goal is to have 100% success rate. If you find some other rooms that they don't want 100% success rate. They want they want to beat the customer. They want their room to be. You're here to have fun, and what I find is
jump, if you will.
basically, yeah. And our philosophy is, you're coming here. You're just like you go to a movie and you pay for the movie. You don't want the movie to suck. You want the movie to be good and enjoy it.
Especially if you're the star.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're coming here, you want to be able to enjoy yourselves, and so that's our number one philosophy. It's not okay, make sure that the room wins or we want this escape rate. No, we want you to enjoy yourself. However we can accomplish that, it doesn't matter. If you want to go in the room and you want to ask for 1,000 hints right off the bat and get out in 2 minutes, cool. If that's your definition of fun, then great. If once we had someone come through here and their definition of fun was picking the locks, and they knew how to pick locks, and that's cool. They
didn't break anything.
They didn't solve. Their group was solving stuff, but they were going through and undoing the lock. And it was impressive to watch. I'll give you that.
Sure. So you have
how did he do that?
Yeah, because you have a lot of different types of locks, I'm assuming. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but as you do these rooms, there's only so many types of locks, and there are ways that you can kind of,
cheat the locks.
There's ways you can cheat the locks. Which
is not the point, obviously, unless that's your idea of fun.
It's not the point to me.
Yeah.
But again, who says I'm right? So just because it's not the point to me doesn't mean that person might not be a puzzle person.
Right.
And they're there to, they were dragged in. So a lot of what happens is you're in a group and someone saw an ad for an escape room, or someone did an escape room, said this was awesome. And then all of a sudden you were part of this 4 to 6 person group or 8 person group, and you're like, okay, well, I'll go with you guys. But you're not a puzzle person. It's not what you like to do. So we still want you to have fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're still here. You still paid money to have an experience that you got dragged along into. Well, okay, if your definition of that is picking locks, great. But even if you're in the room and it's not, we have unique ways of asking for hints. So maybe we can tell. Generally, what our process is, when you come in, you check in, and our game masters have a little short conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
Get to know you a little bit. Like, oh, have you ever done an escape room before? Which ones have you done? Which ones did you like? What did you like about the other ones? Kind of like, you can call it, it's not really an interview process, but it's getting to know the people that you're going to be spending the next hour and a half with, so that when they're in the room, you can hopefully pinpoint, who to communicate with, how to communicate with those people, and I think that provides a lot more to the experience.
Yeah.
So when they're out here, they're trying to figure out, okay, well, how am I gonna, who's a dominant role, right? Who's going to be the shy person that wants to participate, but doesn't have that doesn't step up and actually say things. Well, that person, let's get them involved. So when they're in the room and they ask for a hint, you might find that person's name out and say, hey Amber, what you were on the right track. You get them involved so that they're enjoying themselves, rather than having them being reserved and just in the corner. And even though they might, oftentimes what I find is the people who aren't the dominant role, they say something and then they'll get overshadowed, but what they said was correct. And then it just gets passed over.
Right.
So we like to make, and that's very often, extremely often. So we try to find ways to get everyone involved, even if it's not your thing. If you're coming in here and you're just, I heard this escape room. I can't tell you how many times people walk in the room and I'm like, has anyone done an escape room before? And everyone's like, no. I'm like, okay, do you guys know what an escape room is? No, not really. What is it? they pay for this experience and they have no idea what it is that they're about to get into.
Wow.
And that's primarily why we created our lobby game as well. So when you guys came here, were you able to do the lobby game?
We did the lobby game both times when our crew came through.
Okay, so one of the main reasons we created the lobby game is for noobs, right? So the people that come through, they have no idea what they're doing. Like literally, they'll get put in the room, they'll watch the video, and then like, do we begin? What's
what do we
going
do
on?
now?
What do we do? We have no clue. So we created this mini experience out here, and if you arrive on time or early, 15, 20 minutes early, you'll have the opportunity to do it. But basically, you'll be able to kind of work through, and you're in a mini experience in our lobby, and it gives them an idea of what's going to be happening. Oh, I'm supposed to look around. I'm supposed to search the room. I'm supposed to, and when I find something, I have to link it with something else, or whatever the situation may
Connecting
be.
ideas together and kind of thing.
It's kind of like your warm-up exercise.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Now, you mentioned this earlier, story.
Yes.
And you said some rooms really focus heavily on just the puzzles, and some have a combination. Would you say that yours are kind of a nice balance, heavy story? I mean, if I go in and I'm like, okay, I'm not great at the puzzles, I got a couple puzzles here and there, but I really am enjoying the story of the room. Does that play strong in your rooms?
Yes, I would say that the answer to your question is yes. The storyline was really big. So with CIA Room, I would say if I had to pick a room which the storyline played more in, my honest opinion, and it's just because I have a personal preference for this, but the Timeline Room, the storyline is more immersed in the puzzles than in the CIA Room. Doesn't mean the CIA Room doesn't have a great storyline. The CIA Room has more tech in it. It's cooler stuff. It's there's a lot of really cool things that happen in the CIA Room.
Okay.
The Timeline Room is very, like, the storyline is part of the puzzles.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's when you go through the room without, I'll tell you off camera. I mean, I'll walk you through it off camera.
Yeah,
but
that's fine.
you're basically, like, some of the stuff, and you might not even realize it, but some of the stuff that you're seeing or reading or doing ties into,
a main story.
the entire, not just the story, but the combinations to the locks, or
everything
connects.
That's
so
really cool. See, that's the kind of stuff that I'm really into. I'm not very good at puzzles, but the interconnection of a story that's really well woven together, that sounds like really cool. So that's probably one that I would end up doing, with the Timeline one, more than the.
Yeah,
it sounds cool with the tech.
They're both.
Fun.
And let me rephrase. I don't want to knock the CIA. The CIA is awesome, but the CIA Room, our storyline is, if you watch our video, everything goes along with the storyline. It's just it's more of a, I would say, it's more of a, you're investigators for the CIA trying to track down an assassin, and everything kind of flows with that. But I would say it's a little bit more generic of a storyline than Timeline is.
But if you're really into the CIA thing, then that's probably the room for you anyways.
Or the cool tech things that happen. There's a lot of wow factors in both rooms, but in CIA specifically, there's more I guess you could call it wow. Yeah, how did that happen? Wait a minute. What just happened?
Where in the Timeline Room, it sounds like cool plot twist. I'm like, oh my god, that works, that fits. Oh my god, that's really cool. So a different type of wow, but definitely still the same concept.
Correct.
And your mobile room, you said that's just one story right now.
So the mobile room the theme is stolen. Something's been stolen. Now that something can be different. So we've done ones at real estate offices where someone has stolen your client list. We've done ones for a merchant account, residents. Our most recent one was done. We had one that's at a school, an elementary school, for a robotics class, and they're gonna, we're actually doing that next week.
Oh, that's cool.
And we just did one for Pediatric Associates. It's literally around a corner, and we went to there. It was like their hiring process. So their new hires. This was like an icebreaker activity for them.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's really
So
fun.
we're actually in the middle of designing a program so that let's say you because a lot of these companies hire a lot of like mass people at once, or they have mass interviews. So you can bring them to our rooms, and we have a whole analysis portion of our business that we're going to be coming out with, where we can analyze personality types and actually
through how they do the puzzles,
how they interact with each other. So when you're hiring, you can hire people that you think are going to make a good team. As opposed to, okay, well, this person's awesome for the job, that person's awesome for the job, put them in a room together, and they might not work well together. So your skill sets might be great, but your personality types don't work.
The ultimate job interview.
Yeah,
That's a
basically.
whole market. That's a whole market. That's very
I want
important.
the job interview. That's
I tell
awesome.
you, that's actually very clever. And with the world and the way it's going with groups and teams, and being creative, working well together, communicating, sounds like the perfect business model to go with.
Well, not just business, but I think it's again, we're trying to. How can we apply this to more than just coming in and having fun?
Right.
What else can we do with it?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of. We've also had some companies come through here, some substance abuse companies, and it gives those people who are going through whatever you're going through like an outlet. So okay, I can get involved in this. Maybe I can either start designing puzzles or get interested in puzzles.
Okay.
Or all these people that are in a common situation, put them in a room together and get them to work together. Maybe they formulate these friendships and these bonds that are just like, all right, well, they never would have talked to each other sitting in their group or what outside or wherever they're at. So it's a really unique, not just our rooms, but just the industry as a whole. It's a really cool thing
That's awesome.
that's been evolving.
I like that.
So a lot of future, a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, we're actually so the future of Lockbox at the moment is we're currently looking, it's not set in stone yet, but we're currently looking at expansion to we're going to do we're either going to move this location to a much larger location, but most likely we're probably going to keep this and then open up a second spot, which I don't want to announce where yet, but
of course,
it'll have anywhere from 4 to 6 rooms.
Wow, that's huge. You're talking 4 to 6 rooms is average, or is that above average for a number of rooms a place has?
I would say 3 to 4 is average.
Okay.
Anything above 4 is above average. So
you're going for above average.
We're going for. Yeah, it's not set in stone yet.
Yeah,
so
of course. No, you don't want to give away too much.
So yeah, but basically we're going for a unique model that doesn't exist in the South Florida market yet.
Very
so
cool.
That's
we'll leave it at that, and there'll be more people to come and do it.
Yeah,
very cool.
And on a side note, I just want to say I've been here both times, and your staff has always been awesome. Your staff really does help make the experience. We got to deal with Henry when we were here for CIA, and he was awesome. He loved to poke fun at me because I was dancing like an idiot in the middle of the room while everyone else was solving puzzles, but it was hysterical to work with him. You have a really good group here.
Thank you.
Really good group of people.
It's so we go through a pretty extensive interview process ourselves. One of that is you have to do our rooms. So,
awesome.
So they're all everybody and the whole staff. So the success of our business wouldn't have come. I mean, great. I'm great at business stuff. My brother's great at creative stuff, and the rooms are great. But really, we wouldn't be where we are today without our staff, without everybody that works here, from even the people that help build it.
Yeah, of course. So many different people come in and support every aspect of it.
Yeah, but the customer experience, that's our main. I've worked in the customer service industry for a long time before this, and to me, that's more important than almost anything else. People coming through here, the interaction you have with them, this type of industry, I've worked in an industry where it's the casino industry, and that's like a negative industry. Most of the time, people are leaving your establishment unhappy in some way or another, whether they didn't have a good time, they lost money, whatever it is. The majority of people that walk into a casino walk out less happy than when they walk in. Here, it's the other way around. Everybody generally leaves happy. They're satisfied, and we want to make sure that happens 100% of the time. So
No, I'd say you guys did it pretty well. You do an excellent job. I love it, and I'm excited to hear about new rooms.
Yes.
I'm very excited. So
Well,
I will
then-
definitely be keeping an eye out for that.
Yes.
That's
Those
awesome.
are so we have some big things coming up within the next one or 2 months. So.
So-
Oh, awesome. Oh,
That's
so
really cool.
soon.
Oh.
No. Let me rephrase.
Yeah.
Hold on.
What do we got?
Nothing's going to be launched. Maybe some news might come out. in the next
Ah,
couple
okay.
I
days.
like
So have
news.
announcements.
News is good.
Announcements.
News is good.
Announcements.
Yes.
We'll definitely keep us online for that. We'll definitely be excited to do a little extra mini news report.
Yeah, no,
See,
it's
now I
very
get
cool.
to drag you to one of these.
Yes, I see. So it definitely seems to me, to end on a high note, that your message that you give out is think your way outside the box.
Mhm.
And I think not only is that the motto of your rooms, but it does definitely sound like it's the motto of your organization. You're
Correct.
trying to think outside the box of what these rooms could be and how
Correct.
they could be used. So check us out, watch the video, come and join us on the Lockbox Escape Rooms. They're looking forward to seeing you guys come in. Follow us, YouTube, Facebook, of course. Follow our sister podcasts. They all love to have your attention as well. Everywhere you look, it's Happily Married Nerds. And I think we have had a really solid interview, and I'm excited to try one out for the first time myself. So
Oh, yeah, we're definitely dragging you back.
definitely coming again. So really appreciate you coming
Thank
on.
you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Really
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
All right, everybody.
Appreciate you guys.
Yes, definitely, and we'll see you guys next time.
Have a good one, Internet.